Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and connoisseurs of the written word. Today, we'll discuss a word that is literally universal. The word is music. The beauty about music is that it really is a universal language. Let us see what I mean by that. I don't speak German, and were I to attempt to learn the language, it would take me several years to gain mastery over it. But that doesn't prevent me from appreciating classical German music. Indeed, when I first heard Johann Sebastian Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor, I stood up in instantaneous reverence. This was way back in 1990. This was written by a man more than 300 years ago of a completely different country, speaking a completely different language. Yet, I immediately understood his music. Instantaneous. I mean, like I said, I stood up immediately, shocked, amazed. In fact, I liked it so much. This happened, by the way, in Minneapolis. I was sitting in a cafe drinking coffee. It was called Espresso Royale back then, that cafe. I don't know what its name is now, but I was sitting in this cafe drinking coffee, uh, and the receptionist, God bless him, decided to play a cassette of this music. I mean, back in those days, they were using tape recorders. So he inserted this cassette and turned it on, and boom, the entire room literally exploded into this marvelous masterpiece of music. It's short, it's beautiful, it's universal. I mean, I liked it so much that I immediately put down a cup of coffee, ran up to him, and offered to buy the cassette off of him. Huh? And that's what I like about Americans. They're very sagacious. Okay, commercially sagacious. They said, "Sure, I'll sell it to you for $5." And then when he saw how earnest I was and how enthusiastic I was, he said, don't worry, I'll give it to you for free. And he did. He gave it to me for free. He really couldn't afford to give it away like that. But evidently it was his own personal tape, and he gave it to me for free. And I took it back to my room and played it endlessly. I mean, that piece of music is an absolute masterpiece. So my point is simply this. Music is universal. We can understand each other through music, whether it's Korean music or Japanese music or Indian music or Spanish music or German music, any music, it can resonate with us, provided it is done by a professional musician, someone who's competent at it. We can understand each other. So music is, to repeat again and again, it's the universal language. It bridges gaps, it brings us together. And fortunately, at least 40% of mankind love music. I mean, go to any country, any culture, people love music, right? Not all. I mean, I've actually met people who don't like music. I mean it, and who don't understand it even. For them, it's just noise. Don't ask me how that's so. But there are people who really don't like music. Not many, but they exist, and in not a small number. But most of us like music of one sort or another, pop music or jazz or classical or whatever. We like it. So, is there a word for someone who really is crazy about music? Someone who loves music so much he's willing to spend thousands of dollars on a stereophonic sound system. Have his whole house vibrate with the beauty of music. Well, there is a word for such a person. Okay, or rather there is a word, we'll get to him later on. There is a word for someone, there's a word for this condition where you're really crazy about music. Okay, the craziness for music has a word. That word is, let us write it out, That word is M E L O M A N I A. Melomania, right. The A got kind of crunched in at the back, but there it lies. Melomania. 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 It describes the condition of a person who's absolutely crazy about music, who cannot live without music. And there are many of us who are like that. We would like to wake up to music, we like to go to bed with music, we like to do our work under the influence of music. So melomania is not a rare condition. Some people may think it's it has a negative connotation, but it really cannot when you consider how many people have this madness for music, this divine madness for music. So melomania, a strong fondness, a strong craziness, a love, a deep love for music. Melomania. You're maniacal about music. Now that we've described the condition, how do you describe a person who has this predilection, who's crazy about music? What do you call him? We know what his condition is, melomania, but what do you call him? Well, there's another word for it. It simply requires a slight change of this word, and that word is Melo. You guessed it, A, melomani, Niac. Melomaniac. Melomaniac. A melomaniac. We're all basically melomaniacs. So many of us love music, not just when we were teenagers, but even as fully grown adults. We love music. I mean, our taste might change. When you're young, you might prefer disco music or jazz, or you might like pop music. But as you grow older, your taste may drift towards more classical music, Bach, okay, or Beethoven, okay, or I was going to say Wagner, but Wagner is far too dramatic and far too militaristic for my taste. So yeah, we all like music, and therefore, well, I shouldn't say all. Most of us like music, and therefore, most of us are melomaniacs. Melomaniacs. I know that sounds kind of negative. The word maniac is so often used in a negative um, context that when you use it here, um, melomaniac, uh, it easily gives a picture of someone who is not eating his breakfast, not holding down a job, but simply listening to music. Well, that those kind of people do exist. They're so crazy about music, they literally forsake everything else uh, for the sake of their music. But that is an extreme. Most of us are melomaniacs, and most of us hold down a job. Okay, so is there any other word here? Any other modification for melomania? Yes, there's yet a third word. Okay, a lovely word. Let's write it down. That word is Melomania. Melomania. Okay, I think you probably guessed it. Melomanic. Okay, an adjective. Uh, how do we use this word? It's easy to guess how melomania is used. You could say the majority of mankind suffers from melomania, and you could put the word suffers in inverted commas just to show that you're being facetious. And you can also guess uh, how melomaniac is used. A simple sentence would be, many of us are melomaniacs. Okay, but melomanic, that requires a little bit more thought. How do we use this word? Okay, let's use it in a sentence. I went to the discotheque. It was 11 at night, and there were many dancing in melomanic merriment. Okay, so there is the use of the word melomanic. Usually you have to couple it with something else. There were many dancers there, happily dancing away in melomanic mirth, or there were many dancers there dancing away in melomanic merriment and mirth. If you want to add a double emphasis, merriment and mirth mean the same thing, but if you want a rhetorical effect, you could have a use both those words. You have three M's there: mellow, manic, mirth, and merriment. Three M's. They trip over each other, and they sound really alliterative. Okay, guys. Okay, there I go again using that word that I swore I would never use. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'll stop this video now. I gave you three words: melomania, melomaniac, and melomanic. The first two words have a slightly negative context, so you better be sure you know the person you're addressing with these words really well. Lest he take offense, because the word maniac has such a heavy negative connotation that it's no matter where it is used, people are bound to think you're either criticizing them or insulting them. So you could be careful when you use that word in spoken speech. Of course, when you're writing, you're free to use them as you wish. But melomanic, that's a nice, crisp, concise word. I like it. It sounds really euphonious. So that you can use quite readily. And it describes a variety of situations. Whether you go to a discotheque, or whether you go to a film festival, or whether you go to a music festival, whether you go to a celebration or you go to a party, you will see multiple revelers, dancing happily in melomanic mirth, and merriment. Okay, folks, I'll quit for now, and I'll see you again in the next video on this ocean called the English language and its vocabulary. Bye for now.